What's happening?
We're back.
Here we are. Man, talking winter with Swinter. Here we are.
Season 5, episode 2.
I don't know. Something like that. It might be season 9 by now. Who the hell knows?
That's kind of what I was thinking.
It's kind of random how we do our seasons. Whatever.
Yeah, seasons, like some people do episodes.
Seasons, episodes, whatever. Here we are. You know what really matters is we're talking about winter. Winter's over. Here we are. Because you know what? At Swinter Group here, that's all we do.
That's all we do.
We talk about winter.
And you know what I've discovered recently?
What's that?
Is that April is the time you better start talking about winter.
Uh-huh. And you know what's important? Is that you're not talking about what you thought you should be talking about 4 weeks ago.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know how I just learned that?
What, that didn't make any sense to you, dude?
No.
Oh, okay.
You want to know how I just learned that?
How's that?
Training in the new role that I've assumed.
Yeah. What is your new role here, by the way?
Oh, I'm an account manager.
Yeah. Yeah. Does that feel good?
No, I'm the account manager.
One of the many account managers. It's just one hat that you get to wear, right?
That's right. No, when I say I'm there are many, but then there's me.
And then there's you. You know what? You are the most important account manager in your world.
That's right. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Damn right.
Is it a big world or a small world?
Don't ask me that next question, Brent. I knew that's where you're going.
Well, I think that's something that and this is your topic. You know what? Bring it. Tell the people, what are we going to talk about today?
Well, okay. So one of the things that I discovered when I came to work here is I knew little to nothing about the snow business. Now, before I started here, conversations with friends and family, I was like, yeah, man, it's snow. How freaking hard can it be?
Yep.
Yeah. Boy, was I wrong.
Yep. Well, and I think that there's and you had pushed snow before.
Oh, sure.
And so there's the perspective of, well, yeah, I mean, I've plowed snow before. It's just not that hard.
Right.
And at some levels, it's just not that hard.
Right.
And then at other levels, it's pretty dang complicated.
Yeah. And to be clear, the snow that I pushed was straight line parking lot clearing, or what we would call pathing, honestly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think today we're going to discuss specifically, you bring somebody into your organization who is a capable person. I think that's probably the most important thing we got to delineate here. We're not just bringing anybody. It has to be a capable person that you bring into your organization.
Oh, no. Just to be clear, we have brought in just anybody in the past.
Right.
We've tried that. It doesn't work very well.
Right.
Yeah.
And then taking that capable person who has a penchant for learning, and taking them from somebody who knows absolutely nothing about the snow business, to somebody who can speak intelligently about it, and then further and further as that goes along to somebody who can run portions of the business on their own without oversight.
Yep. And how do you get from point A to point B?
Right.
That's kind of our topic today, right?
Yep.
Is that a 2-day process?
It is not a 2-day process. It is not a 2-month process.
I've been at it 2.5 decades and I still suck.
Well,
so yeah, I guess not all the time. Sometimes I'm pretty on my game. What? Can't hear you. Try to.
I'm here.
There you go.
I say it depends on the day.
That's true.
yeah.
That's true.
I think that goes for anybody though, right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think that no matter what you do, there's good days and there's bad days. But I do think that the snow business is one of the things that I think is so dramatically unique about it is that it's so seasonal,
Right.
And you may be running 100 miles an hour towards a goal, right? And the calendar will dictate whether or not that goal gets achieved or not. Because you might be, spending all of your time getting something ready, and then, bam, you hit a date on the calendar. You're like, well, crap, we're not going to make it. And then all of that work is wasted until that time next year.
Right.
Yeah. And I think that's something that's really hard to get through people's heads is that everything has to happen right now.
Yep.
Or there's a date by which if you don't have your contract executed in time, you're not going to be ready when it snows.
Right.
If you don't have your materials ordered, they're not going to be here when you need them if you don't have your equipment ordered and on the way. I mean, you have to be ahead of that curve, and that there's a certain point at which it no longer matters how hard you're trying. You've just flat missed it.
Right.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I know a guy that was trying to try to bring some software for the snow removal industry to market last, and was hoping to roll it out last year, and got to September and realized, well, it's just not going to be ready in time, and all of the effort spent was wasted for last winter.
It was wasted for that season.
Had to push it a year, but there may be more coming on that here in the next 30 days. Just saying.
Hopefully.
Oh, no. It's looking real good.
Yeah?
Yeah, that guy's very, very excited about how things are looking.
You know him pretty well?
I do.
Okay.
Sleeping with his wife.
Wow.
What do you think of that?
I think...
Too much? Nicole just facepalmed. Is that... What? Is that not okay?
No, that was a literal facepalm.
Yeah, like literal facepalm. Like I'm glad you participated in our show.
You switched topics.
No, I didn't. I was talking about deadlines and how important they are.
Totally switched topics.
That's fine. So, so anyway, okay. So training people.
Yeah.
How to train them, how to bring them up to speed. Okay. So I mean, Jason, what are things that worked for you in terms of, getting you some ideas on this is where we're at and this is where, we're not at and things like that. I mean, what worked?
Right. So I'm just going to start off by saying when I first joined Swinner, I came in on the operations side, parts and service and customer installations and things like that. And to say I felt like a fish out of water was probably an understatement. Now, I also came on at a time of year where we were at the very end of that exit ramp, I should say, entry ramp, right? We were at the very end of that. Like, if you're in a truck, by now you should be at highway speed.
Yeah.
But,
because you came on at the end of August?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And, it's still 90 degrees out here in St. Louis. And in my mind, winter was way, way, way far away. And so I guess the point I'm driving at here is that I came on when, if you're in a big truck, they always say you should be up to highway speed by the time you get to the end of that ramp. Yeah. Don't get on the highway trying to gain your speed. And that's when I came on here at 0 miles per hour. So that made it a little bit more difficult for me. But I think now again, I can only speak for what worked for me. And I'm going to relate this really quickly. As a very young soldier back in 1993, I think, or 93, whatever. I got stationed in Germany, and before you get sent off to your unit, you'd have to go through a 2-week sort of orientation to the culture, and part of that is learning to speak a little bit of the language. And
now, is that local language in where you're going, or the language of your unit that you're going to be with?
Well, the unit that I was with, we spoke English.
Okay,
because it was the American Army.
So when you say learn to speak the language, are you talking about German?
German.
Like the actual language for where you are in the world?
Yeah. I'm sorry. Okay. I misunderstood your question.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. So we had to learn a little bit of German. So,
well, I didn't know if he was talking about like you don't. It's not a bathroom; it's a loo or whatever.
Right.
Like,
right. No.
Is it local colloquialisms or is it the actual language?
No, it's the actual language.
Okay, got it.
And I apologize. I misunderstood your question.
No, it's fine. Brent's just over there laughing at me like whatever.
But the way they taught that was in an immersive style, right? So you come in, the teacher introduces herself, and then she starts speaking German. Now, clearly nobody understood that. But as you go through that course, it's not like you have a book in front of you with nouns, verbs, pronouns, etc., and this is how you conjugate verbs and this, that, or the other thing.
It's like Spanish 1 in middle school.
Right. It was not that.
Yeah.
It was, all right, we're going to take a walk down to a corner shop, and you're going to order yourself a sandwich and a Coke.
Please tell me you wound up with like pig's feet and
no,
like a nice tea.
I didn't.
Nice. Okay.
But I was able to pick it up pretty quickly. And after 2 years in Germany, I could travel the country and get along pretty well. So bringing that back full circle to here, I'm talking about the immersion. And for me, it was being immersed almost immediately at highway speed into the snow business. And let me tell you something, it's sink or swim.
Oh, yeah, that's fair.
And there were many times during those first 3 months where I thought, I see why people before me just quit giving a crap. They just quit trying. They just quit doing everything.
It's largely because their boss was an a-hole. I know that guy. He's really, really hard to work for.
Yeah.
What he has is good days and his bad days, right?
Fair enough.
No. So with that, you kind of have no choice but to learn. Now, I'm not recommending this as a training tool to anybody who may be listening and thinking about bringing somebody in their organization and they think, hey, I was just listening to those guys at Talking Winter with Swinner, and they said, throw your butt in the deep end and figure it out. No, that's not what we're saying. I'm saying that worked for me, being immersed into that side of it.
Well, and I think that there's something to be said, too, for different positions necessitate different levels of immersion. Right. So for what you were doing at the time was managing parts and installs, and it was largely ones and zeros in a calendar.
Yes, it was.
Right. So I think that that's something where we could say, here's the calendar. It takes X amount of time to do a plow install or a spreader install. Book things accordingly, right? And give you relatively low amounts of training and be able to roll from there. I think that to compare that to like an account manager, for example, so you're trying to do sales, right? Or you're working on directly into operations, or different roles necessitate different levels of experience more than training. Right. I think so. I think that if you're coming from a world where you were the number one salesperson at the Verizon store, you sold more smartphones than any other teenager in there, right? And you're killing it. You walk into snow, that experience does not necessarily correlate.
No.
Right? You're not going to be at an account level, type position. Are you okay over there? What you throwing stuff or? Yep. Okay, it's fine. Nicole's just over there breaking stuff. Yep. It's fine. So I think that where I was going with that was that I'm trying to save a little face with the company here. We wouldn't necessarily do immersion style training on account level things, but
sure. And I didn't want to. I'm not trying to.
No, I got you.
I'm not trying to mix this up at all. I'm just saying.
Oh, yeah, no. That you learned a ton by being in it.
Right.
And so I think that that's where, if you look at the different levels of involvement in the business, necessitate different levels of experience, I think, more so than training. So, I think that the experience that you gained in dealing with installs and material sales and equipment sales and learning about how a storm functions and how people interact with one another when they haven't slept in a day and a half, and all of the things that happen operationally during a storm when you're running the shop that's supporting all those people gives you that perspective and experience that you need to be able to sit down with a customer and speak with with at least some semblance of knowledge and experience to what the job is. Right. Whereas, similarly, as somebody that's done nothing but sales is probably not going to be the right person to go in and work with the technicians that are doing an install. Right. So, so that's where I think that it's really important to have a path of progression for people. Right. So, okay. So, if, Jason comes in, Jason has captained, attack helicopters in the military for, 15 years or something like that. And how long was it? Almost 20?
Well, I was in the Army for almost 21. Yeah.
Almost 20. Okay. Yeah. And so I
was only a pilot for 8.
Okay, so you've got damn near a decade of arguably some of the most complicated duties that would befall somebody in the Army. I'm guessing and having that
pretty
been
close, yeah,
pretty close. You have the capacity and ability to do more than installing a plow. Like you can see the big picture, you can understand the mission,
right?
You can see from point A to point B where you got to get,
right?
So there's something where, okay, probably shouldn't throw you to the wolves as starting as an account manager.
Right.
What can you do to get there? Because the experience is more important than the knowledge, is I guess where I'm going with that. Right?
Yeah. And that's the point I was trying to make too. With the whole immersion thing. I feel like that, and I was trying to, stay at least somewhat humble here, but I think my background does play a big role in that, in my ability to see the end picture, where we're wanting to go, and what we need to do to get there. Right. I didn't understand not one term when,
right.
You want a what? The technician would say, "Hey, Jason, on this install, they didn't give us the isolation module."
What the hell's that?
Oh, okay, I need a little more information. And he's
Right.
like, "What do you mean? This is all the information I've got." So when it came to stuff like that, I had no clue. But when it came to operating within what could be at times a chaotic environment, I was all over it.
Yeah.
And I think my background had a lot to do with that. But it still doesn't help with getting a person who knows nothing about the snow business to a point where you want them to be. And
yeah, that's fair.
To further your point, there's no way, I could have come into this role that I'm in now as an account manager and had any clue about what was happening on this side of the business if I hadn't spent that time on that side of the business.
Yep. Yeah, no. So I think that the takeaway here is twofold, right? So if you're an employee of a company that does snow and ice management, and currently you're running mowers, or you're driving a truck, or you're in the bluer collar section of that business, is take a minute to step back and think about and reflect upon the knowledge that you've gained, and how does what play into the big picture, right? Do you really have a handle on what's happening with things, more than just go to this lot and push the snow? Do you understand the time and the dollars involved in that, and how whether or not you stop for 3 hot dogs on the way there, or you go straight there, how that affects the bottom line? So be thinking about, as an employee, can you go to your supervisor or the owner and say, "Hey, I think I can make you more money if you give me the ability to train others, or if you give me the ability to run this department," or if there's, what does the knowledge that you've gained give you the ability to do beyond what you're doing right now?
Right.
And similarly, if you're the owner, look at your staff and think about who is in the right spot and who has the potential to do things beyond what they're doing right now.
Right. And that was going to be my next point too, as the owner, or as managing director, or director of operations, or whatever the title might be. You don't have to keep searching and keep searching and keep searching and keep searching till you find the guy that's been in the snow business for 10 years and bring him on. Right. Bring on the guy that you have a good gut feeling about, who's capable and has a decent background, and just train him. Clearly we're not telling you how to do it. But I think, and it's benefited, at least from my perspective, it's benefited me, here in this business to have had that opportunity to have, sit across the table from Brent and Ken when I interviewed in here, and, for them to say, you know what, I think this guy's got some potential. Let's go ahead and bring him in.
Well, and it's not everybody that shows up to an interview with a little boombox and does interpretive dance.
I thought you were going to say shows up to an interview covered in grease.
Oh, there's that too.
Because I was.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I mean, I think you're totally right. Brent, you've been kind of quiet this whole time. What are you thinking?
I was just going to say that, you got two different types of people you can hire. You can hire a guy that's been doing the business with you already, just out in the field, and that seems to have a good head on his shoulders. And then that learning curve is going to be, one thing. Or you can hire a guy who's never done anything in the business, and he's going to have a little bit harder of a learning curve because he's got to learn the business and how to sell it.
But I always say that I like to, when I'm teaching somebody something new, when it comes to baseball or firearms or whatever, I'd rather have somebody that doesn't know anything because I have less bad habits to break.
Yeah, and that's I was going to go kind of in a similar direction. Is that over the years we've had several account managers that have kind of come and gone, and we've had different people in different positions, but at the end of the day, what I think has been the most important thing is finding the right people for the culture of your business, and then determining where their spot is on the bus.
Right.
It's sort of a Jim Collins thing there, but it's, the people who have, philosophical and ideological beliefs that are in line with the culture of the business,
right,
are a very, very big deal. I've worked with companies that were just massively focused on profitability above all, and that's not. I mean, that I didn't fit in that culture very well,
right.
But whereas at the same time, I've seen companies that are, what they believe is morally and ethically right above profitability, and next thing you know, they're out of business because they didn't make any money. And
right.
so finding the people who share your core beliefs is such a big deal, because if everybody's on the same page philosophically and ideologically, then you'll find that you work together better as a team, and you will help each other get across the finish line.
Right.
Whereas if all it takes is one person who doesn't share in that ideological philosophically, whatever, that one person that doesn't agree with everybody else winds up a little bit of an outcast. And the next thing you know, they're not coming to the social gatherings, or they're not participating in things, and they're just kind of there for the paycheck, and then kind of whatever.
Those are the guys that are here for the income and not the outcome.
Man, that's a really good way of putting that.
Yeah.
Here for the income, not the outcome.
And we don't want those.
Man, did you just make that up just now?
Oh no, I saw it on TikTok 2 days ago.
Okay. Okay, we'll thank the TikTok guys, because that's really good. I like that.
No,
They're here for the income, not the outcome.
It's something that I've heard since I was young. Kind of growing up around the construction business, you always hear of guys that just show up for a paycheck. They don't care if the support beams are under the truss or if the truss is over the middle of the wall. They don't care. You're getting paid, right? So.
Sorry, I had to write that down.
Yeah,
I'm back.
So but those are the people that and I think we've done a good job, at least in the past year or so, of sort of not strapping ourselves to people like that.
Yeah. No, I think that's totally right.
Yeah.
Brent, are you here for the income or the outcome?
I think it's possible to be for both.
It is.
Yeah,
it is possible to be here for both.
Because I mean, I like what I do, but doing it for free wouldn't be very good for my house payment.
Right.
That's fair.
I would not be able to go on hunting trips with my dog.
Exclusively for money, that usually garners a certain type of person.
Right.
That long term, it is not healthy for the company.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's fair.
So,
well, and I think that we've all had, everybody has worked with that person.
Oh, yeah.
that is here for the income, not the outcome.
It's also short-sighted because if you're truly for yourself, you would be for the company also. By ensuring a company's success ensures it'll be more profitable, it'll be here longer, which is good for you in the long run.
yeah.
Right.
So
Yeah,
it's a full circle, and it continues round and round and taking care of itself.
What, Nicole? You got something to add there?
She's giggling about something.
Did she just put both hands in the air, palms up, and say hallelujah?
I did.
I knew it. Amen, sister.
Yeah. So, philosophically, I don't want to, diverge too much from the topic here, but it's not when I wake up in the morning and my back's hurting and my legs ache and whatever, right? I don't say, oh, I got to go to work because I need a job. I need money. I get up and say, there's things I need to do to support the business. I've got to get in there and get it done.
Well,
And the end result is the same in that I come here physically, but the outlook is completely different.
Well, and I think that that's something where, I mean, as we're recording this thing here, of the population as a whole, the managerial population is smaller than the workforce as a whole, and I think that's something that if you're finding yourself in a scenario where you're running the mower, or you're running the snowplow, or you're doing the work right now, and you find yourself in a group where the mindset is the owner's making all the money that off of your back, or blah 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 blah. There's some type of a rift between you and the management side of the business. Understand that the managerial aspect of the business, the people that understand the outcome more than the income, there's a reason why they're in those roles, is because they understand that whole income versus outcome correlation.
Right.
And so, if you're that person that is, you're on let's say you're on a mow crew. It's on a, Brent, how many, usually 2 or 3 people on a mow crew, probably?
Yeah, about 3 guys on average.
Yeah. So, so you got 3 of you out there, and you're not even the guy driving the truck. So what is the low man on the totem pole? I can't keep my own grass green, so I have no idea. What is the lowest role on that crew?
It's usually the guy doing all the walking with the trimmer.
Okay. So you're the one doing the trimmer, right? So as the trimmer, it seems to me like you're going to be able to move a little slower. You're going to be able to focus a little more on the detail work of the job. And so, if you do a really good job of trimming, now you've got the better picture, right? So yeah, the guy that's riding the mower has the easier job because he's riding on a mower, right? But to me, the brain work is the person that is doing that trimming. Because when the homeowner decides to walk out the front door and walk their happy ass up to the mailbox, they're looking at your trimming. Mm-hmm. They're looking at the work that you've done that you can see there. And so, if you take a lot of pride in what you're doing and can motivate and rally the other 2 members of your crew and ascend to not necessarily having the authority of the deemed leader, but you're the one that cares about what it looks like.
Right.
Well, now you're going to find yourself as the crew leader,
right?
And then you're going to find yourself as you're going to find yourself working your way up that ladder because you're paying attention to the bigger picture,
right? And kind of driving this back to the whole point of today's episode is you can train somebody to run a trimmer. You can train them to make your edges look perfect, but you can't train that whole idea of I'm here for the income and not the outcome. That's not trainable. That's somebody's character.
Well, I think that it's okay. I agree with you in that you can't teach somebody being there for the outcome, not the income. But what I think we can do is for the people that are trying to figure out why they're here.
Right.
Right. I think that especially anymore, man, it is so easy to get caught up in the, oh, I'm the worker and I'm downtrodden and, screw the rich people, screw the owners, blah, 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 right? To get caught up in that. I think that society as a whole really demonizes success, right? And so I think it's very easy to be on a mow crew and find yourself conflicted because you really want to do a good job,
Right.
but you don't really understand what's happening, right? And without somebody there to tell you, hey, good job, and move you along, it becomes very frustrating because you don't have that feeling of accomplishment when the other two guys are like, man, no, we're not going to take the time for two guys. Come on, let's go. Don't worry about it. Let's go.
Yep.
It's really hard to stand out and say, no, I'm going to do this.
Right.
And then you don't want to go to the boss later or your supervisor and say, hey, Bill and Ted over there were telling me not to do this because we got to get out of there and save money. But it kind of felt like this was the right thing to do because now you feel like you're throwing your buddies under the bus.
Right. Yep.
And so I think I think it's really common to be in that position where you want to do well, but the people around you either ridicule you for that or they make it difficult for you to do so. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense.
Okay.
And I think, it is absolutely the top guy in the organization. Harry Truman used to have a sign on his desk that said the buck stops here, right? And I firmly believe that it's absolutely the job of the top guy in the organization to ensure that the people below him are trained to a standard, not just trained. For instance, I'll give you a great for instance, and I was just using this example with Nicole earlier, and one of the systems we use and the way we bring inventory into the system, and there's a couple of different ways that you can do it. One's wrong and one's right. Now, both of them will bring the inventory items into your inventory, but only one of them clears out the purchase order that stuff was ordered against.
Fair.
Right? Now, if somebody just showed me a computer screen and said, this button right here is how you bring stuff into the inventory, I could do that, but that's not the standard, right? So if you do it the right way, things get brought in, purchase orders get cleared out, blah, blah, blah. The point I'm making is that there's a standard, and then there's just training somebody how to do something.
Well, and I think that's how a lot of times, and I mean, I know this happened with me where I thought that I had a standard in place, right? And then as you're growing a business, you wake up one day 2 years later and you find yourself having to deal with problems that arose because people weren't following the standard that you had put in place a year or two before. And then when you find something's wrong and you get with your people and say, hey, well, what about this thing that we wrote down 2 years ago? It said, here's how to do this. And everybody looks at you with their eyes crossed and goes, dude, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And I think that's where, we come back to the whole training thing and slowing things down and not putting people in scenarios where they're over their head or they have to make decisions based on the information that they have. And if they didn't even know that policy existed,
right,
well, they're not going to follow it, and so that's where you have to either grow slow enough that you have the ability to train people to do things the right way, or if you're going to grow that fast, do so in a manner by which there's a manager in place that can disseminate the policies and procedures that you've put in place.
Right.
And that's something that we've been victim to here. Is we've just been, as we've grown, we've outpaced our ability to train people as they come in.
Right.
And so there've been big lessons that we've had to learn, getting through that. So, yeah.
So
Brent's still not said 3 words this whole time.
I've said more than 3 words.
I think you're up to 7. Thoughts?
You're gonna have to listen up. I agree.
Easy enough.
Yep.
6, what? Huh?
he's at 6.
I think he's more than 6 now. Yeah. So
No,
okay. So let's do this. So what are some tips for The what? Huh? Yeah. Okay. What are you going to say? Go.
No, all I was going to say was I was kind of hoping Brent would jump in and talk about the general outline that he drew up with specific notations on how he was going to train me for this new role.
Yeah.
No?
There wasn't one.
I'm pretty sure that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. In all fairness, Brent has been amazing training me so far. So
Smart and good looking. Tell you what, he's got it going on. Shiny red truck. Molly's a lucky gal.
There you go.
There it is.
That truck is not feeling so lucky right now. Have you seen the back of his truck?
It's got a little mulch in there.
Yeah, it's a little too much.
Yeah. Nah, it's fine.
Yeah.
It'll make it.
Hey, some of the guys that come and buy salt from us would literally shake their head and roll their eyes at you and be like, "Why'd you quit?"
Yeah.
What?
The guys that have got a
there's more room in that
the
truck.
guys that got a V-box and a half ton pickup with a short bed. It's fine. Just lay the tailgate down. Doesn't handle it.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Fair enough.
Yeah.
All right. So I think, okay. So just to kind of recap this thing, I mean, it feels like what we're saying here is that, training is more than just the ones and zeros of how to do the job.
Right.
It's the bigger picture of why that job is important.
Right.
And allowing people to feel like they have ownership in what they're doing. So they're not just doing this one thing. They're contributing to a much bigger picture, which gives that person the feeling that they're not here for the income. They're here for the outcome.
That's right.
Man, that's good. I like that. I really like that. This has been good.
Good
This
times.
feels like an uplifting, feel good episode.
Yeah. I think I've coined a new Swinner catchphrase.
Hell yeah, we're going to print that and put it over the door. I love it. Man. And in the interim, we are, in fact, talking winter with Swinner.
Yeah.
I'm Ken Bogan, Brent Reeder, Jason Duncan, live from Swinner Group here in St. Louis, Missouri. Thanks so much for listening in. Hey, we do want to hear from you. Shoot us a text at 314-260-4352. Email us at podcast@swinnergroup.com or hit us on the Twitters @SwinnerSnowTalk. Thanks so much. We'll see you next time. Bye.